Hey, Sarah.
So, my name is Sarah, and I'm one of three that's going to be sharing my testimony tonight. So it's going to be me, and then I believe it's going to be Richard, and then to close us out, it's going to be Will. So I actually didn't want to share the testimony of, like, here's when I got saved, and life is dandy, and that type of thing, because my reality is not that way. So just bear with me, and if I cry, just, you know what, it's okay. We're just not going to think about it. So I actually started writing a journal entry, and that's my reading from my journal. So I'm just going to read that, because it just kind of tumbled into just reflecting on, like, where God's brought me from, and just His power in that. So I guess just before I get started, Sarah asked me a couple months ago to share my testimony, just to pray about it, and I immediately was like, nope, I don't want to, because I'm not in a place right now where I feel like everything is, in my mind, it wasn't glorifying God enough, and it wasn't enough, and it wasn't finished. I'm still very much in the season that I'm in, and at this point, I'm not sure if I'm going to come out of the other side. So God kind of hit me with that realization that in my weakness, He is strong, and the more honest I can be about that, the more I think His glory is present. So I'm just going to read this. So on the 14th of March, 3 years ago today, my life changed forever. I'm drowning in thoughts, and I just can't seem to find the right words. So I put pen to paper, hoping something will come. My heart beats tiredly in the background, weary after a night of passing out and tachycardia for a couple hours. Even though exhaustion and hopelessness seep into every bone of my body, I feel a taste of sweetness in the ocean of salty bitterness. As much as it feels like I admit defeat after defeat, I have to believe that victory is coming still, and is even present now. Every time I experience a pain level that is higher than my normal, leaving me bedridden for days, weeks, months, and even leaving me housebound for a year, or fade in and out of consciousness for a couple hours. Every single event is a battle, not only against my body and my mind, but war wages for my heart and where it will find its grounding. I have been sustained by the true sustainer again and again, slowly gaining more trust that I'll pull through this one like all the other ones before. It's so cliche, but it's true. Feeding your mind and your body with adequate sufficiency for the journey ahead of it is vital to retaining a quality of life. I'm going to say that one more time, because I just really want that to kind of marinate for a minute. Feeding your body and your mind with adequate sufficiency for your journey ahead is vital to retaining a quality of life. Even if you don't know what's ahead of you, being in that constant preparation for the battle is, in my opinion, the grounding of the Christian life, and is the grounding of the Christian warrior for Christ. Being kind to myself is perhaps the biggest lesson I've learned. Learning how to be still through the pounding migraines and throwing up, and the heart that doesn't work so well. It's hard. It's not just hard, it's frustrating. I can honestly say I wouldn't be here today, much less praising God, if I had been forsaken by Him or had no faith to stand on before I got sick. Quite literally, my faith that I was loved and purposed and held close, that I wasn't left to fight this alone, saved my life 6 times. I've walked through a lot of darkness in 19 years. I lost a best friend 16 hours after saying goodbye. I got a call from my sister that my friend Madison had been in a car accident on the 23rd of August in 2014 at 2:30 p.m. I got a text from Madison saying I love you at 2:31. How do you move past that? I didn't handle it well. I shut down and I grieved it in silence and I didn't talk about it. In fact, I didn't start talking about it until 6 months ago. How do you process 10 years of friendship in a couple hours? You can't. And unfortunately, I developed PTSD from that, and I couldn't sleep for years on end, reliving the accident, finding out all of it. I don't talk about it often, but I wanted to share it because after seeking counseling for 2 years, I found my voice again, and I could sit behind the wheel again. I got my license, and I found freedom from the chains of PTSD. Take good care of yourself. Your mental health is just as, if not more important than your physical, for in the mind the warrior lives. So, I have chronic illness, if you haven't already figured out. On March 14th, 2015, I just woke up out of the blue with a migraine. I've never had one before, and it just catalysted into sparking all these different dormant genetic conditions I had, and the doctors were clueless. 23 doctors, 17 ER visits, 3 hospitalizations that ended up being a total of 4 or 5 months, 4 different medical procedures, 1 surgery, 56 IVs, over 200 medications, and too many appointments to count. 3 years, and we still don't know the cause or the origin of what's going on. And while I'm open to suggestions, I'm pretty sure I've tried that. Everything was altered. Schooling, even being homebound, like I mentioned, for my senior year. I was going to go to med school, actually at Johns Hopkins, to become a neurologist. Ironic, I know. But I think the other biggest thing I've learned is just the humility and the willingness to be soft to whatever God is carving. That's been the hardest thing, is because it's not what I want, but what He wills. At some point, I knew I would have to look this beast in the face. So all distractions were temporary, and I knew that. Currently, I haven't had a moment without pain since I got sick, and there isn't a real hope in the future for that. So that's something I'm still learning to kind of be at peace with. My illness has taken nearly everything from me. I've been to doctors that don't listen, yell at me, don't believe, kick me out. I'm just not trying hard enough, that I'm choosing to be sick. I'm serious, and it messed with me. I wondered and got angry and almost gave up trying. How can you keep on fighting if the doctor that you've been seeing for 18 years gives up on you? This isn't a story of how I have everything figured out. A story of physical healing, which I very much wish it could be. Because in my mind, that would be the most redeemable result of this season in my life. But this is a story of grace. And grace sufficient, 2 Corinthians 12:9, when God says, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in your weakness." And that was the main pull for me to kind of finally decide to share, is that I feel like I'm being really weak, and I feel like there's no place to hide in being vulnerable. But those are the grounding moments of where you find where Christ has brought me. In efforts to have full authenticity, I want to say that I do struggle with the concept that God heals. It's probably fueled by personal experience, but that keeps leading me back to that age-old question of how God is good through suffering. I know the biblical scholarly answer, but I'm wrestling with the resounding resonance that even if not fill in the blank, He is still good, of Daniel 3:18. Redemption that innately leads to goodness isn't mine to write. It's His. It's not my decision to find out how this ends. My job is to simply highlight, to have His praise ever on my lips, and to trust wholeheartedly that He is creating beauty from ashes somehow. Isaiah 61:1-3. I'm still grieving the loss of my friend Madison, but Jesus sweetly gives me the oil of joy for mourning. I'm also very deep and currently drowning in the depths of my health as they crumble to pieces. Jesus gives me the garment of praise for my faint spirit. He plants me deep into the earth, gently lifting my head to hydrate me. Psalms 5, verse 3. And he nourishes my steady, faithful growth in him for his glory. Friend, there is healing in his wings. As the dawn rises and the clouds unfurl with radiant, fragrant hope, I'm learning to dance upon disappointment to the love song of the one who loves me fiercely and knows me intimately. Of course, as any human, I think my heart and my mind are flooded with fear and bitterness that I won't see healing physically this side of heaven. I fight for my life, for the vitality of my life every day. Jesus advocates in intercessory prayers for us to the throne in Romans 8. I've seen a pain specialist who once told me, every day that you choose to get out of bed is directly impacting the quantity of your life. Basically, he told me his recommendation was to stay bedbound for the rest of my life. But after prayerful consideration, I chose to prayerfully see that as every day I choose to get out of bed is increasing the quality and the vitality of my life. Jesus calls us to the battlefield, but he is the one that's fighting victoriously on our behalf. All he's asking us to do is to be silent. In Exodus 14:14, we walk with a God who is a mighty warrior. 9:17. Life is fragile. Handle it with care. Please be reminded not to take anything for granted. If you've learned nothing else, the fact that you are physically healthy is a blessing. We're still searching for answers, and I have to whisper his hope to my heart every morning to just get through the day. But I love what I'm learning. God whispers sweetly in the valleys, but he shouts on the mountaintops. When you're in that valley place, you know how desperate and how depleted you are and how much you need Christ to fill that void. So you don't need a shout, you just need the whisper. But when you're on the mountaintop, sometimes we need him to shout at us to be reminded of our dependency. Life is full of both hills and valleys. The highs and lows make a heartbeat, which means by the grace of God, you're alive. Feel your pulse. Hear that steady beat of purpose flowing through your veins. Your body hasn't given up on you yet, so don't you give up either. My story isn't one of loud, clear hope and healing as much as I want it to be, but rather one of quiet, steadied hope that beats along with the heartbeat of purpose.